we are on the record. We don't have any new folks today. There were a couple there at the in-person meeting that I hope will stick with us. I know that Dan was contacted by Helen, sent him a nice note. And then the other person was Doug. Is that right? The person
Eric.
that
Eric Saunders.
Eric, yeah, Eric. Sorry,
Eric.
Eric, if you're going to watch the video, but sorry, Eric. But would like to see him come back, but we're kind of down to our normal group this morning. Any other announcements before we forge ahead?
I just emailed a little while ago, and you may not have had time to read it. I was wondering if perhaps we ought to consider having in-person meetings every other month until we figure out the problems. What does the group think? Because Mike, you figured it all out, and it worked fine for the people that were at the church last time, but the people that were at home were out of luck, and I hate for them to miss out every other time. So what do you guys think about instead of?
Yeah, I'm the embarrassed one, and I'm still, and I thought I didn't think I ever wanted to do it again, but every time we have a meeting, there's something new that I figure out, and maybe one of these days it will cease to be, I will cease to be on the learning curve. But and one of the problems we had last time that I may have worked out, but I'm going to have to go back and find out. The picture on my screen and the picture on the TV was really different. The quality was different, and there's a calibration choice to make when the meeting starts on TV, and I think I may have figured out how to change the calibration, but yeah, I hope we can continue to do a hybrid meeting and at least give it one more try before giving up on it.
If I could get Jeff Olson to come, he's a member and he knows how to work all that stuff. I just need to talk to him about a time maybe the two of you could meet. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, if you can get that set up, Lynn, that would be terrific.
Okay.
And
I saw him Sunday, so
yeah.
He's in town, so I'll check.
Well, as of now, we're meeting again 2 weeks, right? Video. I mean, at the church.
Right. At the church, yes.
Yeah.
What?
And we know even if we can't do the video part for the tune in people, we at least know how to make it work for those that are present. And so
that's July the 5th. That's July 5th, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I will not be there. But okay.
Well, if Lynn can't be there, we'll need to reschedule.
No. Not true.
I don't know what's wrong with me today. I think I'm fatigued, and that means there's virtually no filter on my brain. But any other announcements? Speaking of,
just that we did the second PS Elements a week ago. So we're got the group that decided to show can do some pretty basic but interesting things like straighten horizons, which is good. We talk a lot about healing brushes and clone tools to be able to not only take out things but add things in over distractions that are in the image. So I think there's a few tools that were given there that people will be able to do some pretty interesting things in the future.
Yeah, that was a tremendous meeting. It helped me a lot.
Bill was very nice. He didn't slap our hands with a ruler, did he? Did he, Bob?
No, no, he didn't, but it was
Bob,
close a couple
I forgot
times.
to bring it.
Yeah.
Bob and I got,
Next time
Bob and I
Louisville
got kind of,
Steelers.
Bob and I kind of got overwhelmed by removing things. We were having too good.
Yeah,
You have to have fun.
Yeah.
that's right.
Well, and Bill, I know I'd be learning something that I don't know if I was watching the meetings, and I appreciate you doing them. I know
Well,
everybody.
the good thing is that everybody was forced to have their either laptops or iPad, whatever they had with PS Elements, and they had to touch it, feel it, and smell it. We had done the one getting off of automatic, which was done just on a Zoom meeting. And I don't think that really did people a whole lot of good. Yeah, I know I'm dyslexic, so I have to learn a certain way. So I keep things simple. Yeah, because that's how I have to learn. That's how I teach. So I'm hoping that maybe someday we can get back to kind of that original thing where we talk about the exposure triangle, get folks to understand how it can benefit them. And it works really well in what we talked about with histograms at one time. Then also maybe have a second part about getting tack sharp images consistently. You know, understanding what a focus mode is and what focus points are and groups are. Yeah, it's not rocket science, but I think if you have your camera in front of you and go through those steps, it's a whole lot easier.
Well, thank you for doing the classes though, Bill. I really appreciate it.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
On another note, I just got a text from Tom saying he has a doctor's appointment, so he won't be here.
Well, let's get into tips and tricks. And for some reason, I raised my hand to do this again. But sometime back, when the group was meeting at the senior center, I did a program on printing and framing, and there seemed to be some interest in that again. And I didn't realize how much the presentation I did before was geared to being there in person until I started trying to put together one for online. But we'll see how this goes. There are actually to be two sessions, one today on printing, and then one, I can't remember if it's next time or the time after next, on framing. But the framing part will come up. And, you know, as I was doing this, I thought of something, and I don't know how much of an unreasonable goal it is, but something that I would really like to lay out that relates to printing and framing is this. I would really like us to have a group exhibition, and I don't know whether that winds up being in a public place, or if it winds up being at somebody's home. But I think that sometime it would be really interesting to, wherever it is, whether it's a public exhibition or a more private thing, to bring a picture or two that we have printed some way, somehow, and framed, and have a physical display of all the work. And Eric may have been a little bit responsible for getting this going last time when he brought pictures. You know, seeing pictures online is one thing, seeing them in person is something different. And I've said enough about that. I'm going to run myself out of time, but I would like us to give some thought to that. Today is all about printing. And, you know, as I did this, it occurred to me how I have picked up one thing or another, and I don't remember where it came from. And some of the stuff that I know that I do time after time after time, I continue to do because it works, not because I can really explain why it works. And so I don't know how deeply I can dive into this. There are other experts that could maybe give more explanation than I. But what I'm going to tell you is what I do, and it has worked for me, at least to my satisfaction. But printing, strangely enough, starts with camera settings to me. And I don't know if this is something Bill has talked about or whether it's ever come up in um, a meeting, but let me see if I can share my screen at this point. Come on. Okay. Camera settings. I can only speak to Nikon. And I have a little Ricoh walkabout camera that does basically the same thing. Now, I don't know what Canon is or what Sony is, but I'm betting that all these menus are somewhere in your camera. You may need to get your manual out to find them. But on my camera, when I punch menu, one of the choices I get is a shooting menu. And for me, that's the one with the little green camera on it. And the first setting is in that shooting menu under image quality. This is how what you shoot gets recorded on your on your camera for use later in printing or showing or whatever it is you do with it. And you can either choose high quality or low quality. But this is a shooting menu, or the first part of it on my camera. And under image quality, there are choices to make. And those are basically the choices. You can choose to do RAW and JPEG, either fine, normal, or basic. You can choose just to do RAW. You can choose just to record TIFFs. You can choose just to record JPEGs. This is not film, and it doesn't cost us something when we take a picture. And memory cards are cheap. And my argument is get the biggest file you can possibly get on your card. And this is the start of that. The JPEG part of this, fine, normal, basic, really probably doesn't make any difference if you're going to eventually do something with RAW. Basically, fine, normal, and basic, that's how your image is going to get displayed on the back of your camera. And only if you are processing a JPEG would this really matter to you. But the biggest file I can get on my camera is what you see, RAW and fine. And so that's what I picked. Now there is another menu under, when it's on back to that first page, right under image quality, image size. There is another chance to either get a tiny image or a big one. And as you can see, image size for me is the largest you can get. I read one place that this only applies to TIFF and JPEG files, but that's something that I still don't quite understand. But if it's large, it's better to me, and so that's what I have continued to use over time. There is, and I think in trying to whittle this down, I let go of it. There is another image or another menu on the shooting menu. It's on the next page. but it's called color space. And there are two different choices for color space. One is labeled sRGB for red, green, blue, and the other is Adobe RGB. And a lot of printers will work with sRGB, but not with Adobe. And one difference that I know is that the Adobe color space gives you more variation in color, more nuances in color than RGB, regular standard RSGB. And so the recommendation would be to put it on RSGB, unless you have a high quality monitor and want to see a little bit more that may not get reproduced on the prints that you ask for. But so image quality, both size and well, size basically, and color space are some of the settings on camera. I'm going to leave this up for a minute because I've got one more to show on this. But switching over to what your options are for printing, and the basic option is home or someplace else. And I prefer to print at home, but to get good quality prints at home carries some burden with it. One is the initial expense of a printer that will do good quality photo prints, and it's not your desktop all in one. You're not going to get the best prints out of that. You need a printer that is a devoted photo printer that has more ink colors, etc. And a good one of those can cost you $1,500, even an entry level one, maybe with some or less. But when you get into the bigger printers, I mean, you can spend thousands of dollars on a home printer. And I don't do enough anymore that I can justify a high-end printer, and I'm using an old one. That leads to another problem with doing it at home. I've found that printing at home is really finicky. In fact, I had given up my printer. I had decided that I could no longer get good prints out of it until I volunteered to do this little talk. And it made me get back to my printer to see if I had been screwing something up that was ruining my photos. And sure enough, there was a menu that I just had set wrong. And as a result of that, I was ready to throw my printer away. But printers of high quality photo printers are not only expensive, but they're really finicky. And most of the stuff that I'm doing these days, I'm sending off somewhere. And in terms of where you go outside of home, you can go to Walgreens or SVS. You can go to Walmart. Costco has a print shop. I mean, there are all kinds of printers out there if you want to send your file to them and let them do it. The first time I did this presentation, I had prints from Walmart, CVS, Costco, etc., and there was not a whole lot of difference between those. But one of the variables is paper quality, and not all of the cheap print places like Costco, or like Costco's kind of an exception, but like Walgreens or CVS.
Okay. Let's stop doing the step exercises, obviously. Yeah. But it's been gradual, trying to get back to some semblance.
Who is? I don't.
Somebody needs a mute.
Okay. Hi, Ace. I was saying that some of the outsourced labs don't use good paper, And it's, you know, you can get a bigger shot for not much money, but it's also a shot that's not going to look very good. And the examples that I showed around, there were some differences, and the higher quality labs give you a higher quality product, but you pay for it. Flickr is one source where you can get prints. Even if you are not a pro member, even if you have a free membership, there's a menu on your Flickr uh, photo stream page for print. And I think it is being done by, now I can't say it, Smugbug, Snap. I don't remember who Flickr's associated with, but they're coming from their
Smugmug.
lab, and they're really not too bad. But if you want to look at Flickr, um, just click on the prints list, the prints menu at the top, and it will take you to an upload page. I needed to go to a separate website called, and it's Flickr Help, lowercase, no punctuation, .com, and there's a lot more information for uploading your photos there than is what you hit just if you hit the print menu on your photo stream. One of the things you get with almost every lab is recommendations for how big a print you submit to be printed. And this is why I got into the settings on the camera. If you're printing something tiny, a tiny file will work. But if you take a tiny file and try to make it into a big picture, 8 by 10, 11 by 14, or whatever, it's just not going to come out very well. No matter how sharp that picture is on your desktop, it's not going to print as well if it doesn't have the right pixel resolution. And what I usually print is normally going to be a 13 by 14. I'm sorry, 13 by 19. And a 13 by 19 print at Flickr is $24. And the issue I have with that is that it's printed on Kodak paper. And Kodak was a great name, but they don't make the best photographic paper that is on the market, at least in my opinion. But it is there. You can click the link on your screen, go to flickrhelp.com, and you should be able to get, and you will get their instructions for uploading are pretty straightforward. And let me get out of this at this point. Stop and share. Okay. The other place that I would recommend highly, and it's the one that I'm using when I have to send something off, is MPix, MPIX, and it's a division of Miller Imaging. And Miller Imaging really is a pros photo printing site. Wedding photographers, event photographers, high-end photographers use Miller Imaging for their printing. And the pedestrian side of it is no really second class, but the lower end of it is MPix. You get the same options that you get with Miller Imaging without having to have a high budget for what you're doing. The papers are the same, and I don't know how many prints I've taken from MPix or Miller Imaging, and if there is a problem with the print, it was my fault. It was not them. And I would really urge you to try MPix. I said that the paper was different. MPix and Miller Imaging both say that their paper is archival, meaning If it's represented in a frame and not in bright sunlight, it'll last 100 years. It's not going to fade. You put it under fluorescent light or in sunlight and it will, and for any kind of paper, but it is archival paper. And the same size print that I would get through Flickr for $24 is actually cheaper at MPix by a few cents. It's certainly no more expensive than Flickr and or the lab they use, and I think it's much more trustworthy. Okay, breathe. I want to say a couple more things. One, I probably should have said at the beginning. One benefit of printing outside and not your own is you got so many more options. I have prints that are on metal. I can't print metal at home. I tried one print through Costco that's on plexiglass. I can't do plexiglass at home. And Costco did a really nice job on it. You can do canvas, and some people can do canvas at home, but not normally. And there are just all kinds of options online for something that's just not plain old paper. Let me finish this up by maybe transitioning for a couple minutes into printing. But to print, you have to pick a size. And what size you want printed has something to do with how big your file is. But when you order a print, my recommendation is to order it in a standard size, 8 by 10, 8.5, or 11 by 14, 13 by 19, or something that is common, something that you can go to Michael's or Hobby Lobby or find online frames that are made for that size of picture. You start trying to print your pictures and framing, and the frames are unique in size. You're going to have to go to a frame shop. At least I'd have to. And getting them framed is going to be a lot more expensive. Everything I have is on one of two sizes. And they're one of those two sizes because I've got a bunch of stuff framed. I think I have 50 frames for 13 by 19 pictures and maybe a dozen or more of 30 by 33, which is a 16 by 24 print. And if I get tired of the pictures that are on my wall, I take them down and put another one in the very same frame because they're all the same size. So figure out what size you want, make it a standard size. The other thing, and this is a big deal to me, if you want an 8 by 10 print, don't submit it to be on 8 by 10 in that measurement. And I'll talk more about this, if you let me, in the future. But I always have a white border around the outside of the photo, so that when you put a mat on it, or even just put a frame on it without a mat, there is something at the border of that picture that sets it off. If you go right up to the edge of 8 by 10 or 11 by 14 and want to put a mat on it, a window mat, it's going to cover up part of the picture. Maybe not much, but a frame shop will overlap the mat a little bit. And what I will do, just as an example, I print on 13 by 19 paper, but I leave a 1/2 inch border all the way around that picture, so that when I put a mat on it, it doesn't encroach on the picture itself, and still leaves a little white barrier around it that offsets it from the mat and the frame. And I can talk some more about that later. But if you want to do an 8 by 10 picture, do a 7 by 9, and you can put that into or onto an 8.5 picture, 8 by 10 paper, and they'll center it right in the middle of it so that your image is offset a little bit. But okay, that took too long.
Huh. Good information.
It's good.
Well, you
Yeah,
want
that
me-
was a good overview, Mike.
well, I appreciate you saying that, and some of it may help once we get to framing. But keep in mind the idea of having an exhibit. Be proud of the work
Yeah.
you are doing, and it needs to be out someplace, if not in your own home, some other place. Senior Arts, wherever it is. Silver Arts, there are outlets out there, and it's going to have to be printed and framed to get there. So I left you all speechless.
You've given us a number of things to experiment with, and that's good.
Yeah.
Well, the
Yeah.
thing that Mike had mentioned is that there's kind of like a pro level and what he called a pedestrian level. And when you talk about like pedestrian level, Consumer Reports did an analysis on printing. And it was more of the lower end kind of folks like the Costco's, the Walmarts, and actually the Walmart came in number one. And I actually have a 20 by 30 up on the wall over here, and I don't know what else I could have asked for. So, don't be afraid just because it's Walmart, and, they actually do a pretty good job.
Yeah.
And I think like Mike said too, he tried a couple different places, and that's, anything we do in photography is a little bit of practice and a little bit of figuring it out, which is best for us.
Yeah, and I think one of
Bill,
the
when you did
differences,
the-
Bill, is just in paper quality, and that may have to do with the longevity of the print as much as it has to do with the quality of the print. I'm hoping that my estate gets really, really rich from, this is a joke, of course, from all the prints that I have matted that will go on sale. But
Yeah.
anyway, all
Bill,
right.
I was going to ask, I got a question for Bill about the Walmart. Did you do that by uploading a file online, or did you? Okay.
Yeah, I actually did it online.
Mhm.
And at the time, they actually printed these up at 15501 in Chapel Hill.
Hmm.
If they don't print a certain size, what it does, it goes down to a Fuji plant down in, I think, South Carolina. Maybe I forget if it's Spartansburg or something like that. And then they end up mailing it to you. But they will tell you at the time that you're uploading it, if you can pick it up. And often it's even 1 hour. I mean, they had a pretty big HP, what Mike was mentioning before. It's like a tabletop printer, not a tabletop, but it's this huge thing that prints things up to, like I did. I got 20 by 30. So
Okay.
some could be picked up, some will be mailed to you, but I'm looking at it from here and it looks pretty good.
Mhm.
But I do
Yeah.
like printing myself as well.
Yeah, shop around. Okay, we're gonna get to pictures, I hope. No, I can't hit the right button first. Share screen. There we go. All right. Whoops, didn't mean to scare anybody. Well,
lovely.
it's not the whole list. Ah. Well, what's happening here? Okay. Are you seeing pictures?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now we are.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, it just took a second. I practiced this and I still can't do it. This first one is Bill's. And I'm going to go to full screen and hide this stuff.
Mm.
I'm back. Oh. Yeah, this one, I guess when we were talking about nature, and unfortunately I missed the light by about 15 minutes. I was walking the dog, and in the atmosphere was so much either moisture or dust, and we had a nice orange glow coming up, and a lot of this looked actually different. But I ran and I threw the dog in the house and picked up my bag and tripod and came back and tried to capture some of what I saw. But what I did is this is actually 4 images that you see right here.
Hmm.
This was photo stacking. So what I did is I put it on a tripod, turned off my image stabilization, and I put my focus point on the left-hand tree, took a picture, moved my focus point to the second tree, took another image, the third one, and then the fourth one. So now I had, instead of the first tree being really sharp, and as it went down the line, they would become less and less sharp, I was able to take all 4 of them and combine them together, and I used affinity for focus stacking. So what it does, it takes the sharpest part of each one of the images and combines them into one. So each one of these trees is really sharp.
Mm.
Down.
Clever.
Hmm?
It's-
Clever. I like that.
Yeah, it's really
In the back
wonderful. God, it's
right-hand side, on the left-hand side of that last tree, there was a house there that was giving me agita when I was looking at it. So based on some of the things we talked about in the PS Elements workshops that we had, is that I got rid of the house back there. Once I combined them all together, I really didn't do much to it. I just did the haze reduction, which PS Elements does really well, and just changed the lighting just a little bit, but I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything more than we didn't talk about during the workshop. So, except for the focus stacking.
So does Affinity actually figure out the photo stacking? Is that what you were saying?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. And one picture I tried the very first time when I got Affinity, because I made sure I got it when it was on sale for 25 bucks. I took a picture of a sneaker that was kind of on an angle and kind of going away from me. And I took 22 different images of it. So I moved where the focus was 22. I took 22 images, and what it did, it took it all. I found the sharpest, put it together, and so it's a pretty
Bill, I
interesting
think
concept.
I think it's a terrific photo. I don't really notice anything about where the house was, but I'm not sure I wouldn't have cropped that out to begin with and just left a trio of trees instead of part of that one on the right side.
Oh,
It might have changed the aspect ratio somehow that would not have been a good crop, but any other comments? A
Good
neat
pick.
shot.
Is that
Good.
right
like
in the
it.
center between one, two, the third tree up there? Is that, what is that? So count from the left, 1, 2, and then go up. I guess
Right in
it's a
here?
telephone. Is it line? Yeah, higher. Remember, I can't see. It may be a telephone
It's like a
line.
power line or something.
Yeah,
Power
that
line,
may,
yeah.
yeah, and the lights hitting
Telephone
that.
pole.
Yeah, it would have been good to maybe get rid of that higher.
Well, you can sure see how good the focus is by zooming way in.
Yeah.
Look at that squirrel.
Yeah, that squirrel wasn't in all 4 images
Oh.
either.
Lovely shot.
Yeah, great
Beautiful.
shot, Bill.
It's a great shot, really.
And this
The
one is Bill's
composition is
too.
wonderful.
Frank had one of these shots, same
Oh.
event last time, and this is one of Bill's from that cutting
Yeah, this
contest.
was about 2 months ago. They had the barrel racing over at the Ag Center. And I thought of motion, like the other one was nature, this one is motion. But I think what I find more interesting with this is that I don't have a blur showing motion. The horse is actually stopped, but all the motion is at its feet and kicking up the dirt.
Yep.
You know, what we were trying to do that day, Frank and I were trying to follow the horses and shoot and follow them so that the background would blur out. That was our intent. But it was so bright that day that we couldn't get our cameras to go down, low enough and slow enough to do it. We really needed to have neutral density filters with us, which neither one of us remembered. So this one I kind of liked from the beginning because it seems like the horse and the gal riding are just so in sync. Yeah, the way she's holding on, she's not holding on for dear life. She knows this horse knows what she wants to do, and they do it together. And
I don't know how they don't all fall over.
And as I was shooting this, I was shooting it at 7 frames per second. So I was following them for a couple seconds. So I was probably wrapping up 14, 15, 16 shots very quickly, just to try to get that one where the feet were just where I wanted it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
I like where they are. I like the back leg out.
Yeah. And a little bit of the post-processing stuff here. Like the signs in the background where it says quality equipment. It was a really bright day and that was bright. So what I did is I just selected the sign and I dimmed it down a little bit so it wouldn't be so horribly bright. And then there's something also on the right-hand side there, but I got everybody. Yeah, the sign there on the right side. I had to kind of dim that one down too.
Good action shot.
Really good.
It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Okay, this next one is Key Cobb. Key Cobb, are you with us?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my still life. This was in Portugal. A guy was just standing there. He created this setup, paints his face white, gets white clothes and paint and chalks everything up white.
And then doesn't move for 2 hours.
And it doesn't move.
Yeah.
Wow.
A live person sitting there?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
I had trouble figuring out the cross and the shoe repair. I mean, it had a lot going on. That's a cool picture.
And we were at a habitat build a couple of years ago in Portugal. And so I saw this on the sidewalk.
Well, there are things like this around, but boy, it just amazes me how they become statues. Just absolutely frozen.
Wow.
Really cool, Kikam.
Thanks.
Yeah, I like the light and the shadows.
And what does it say on the boot? I can't. I mean, can you translate?
Well, it is a shoemaker. That's a zapateiro. It's in Portuguese. I'll have to.
I looked up the Zapatiero, or however you pronounce it. I think it's just shoe repair for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the rest of it is.
Yeah. Well, like I'll take a page from the signature on Bill's emails, and that is, if you want to take interesting pictures, stand in front of something interesting. Qualified.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good job. This one is Bob.
Thanks.
That's me.
Mm.
So, it was evening, as you can tell. It was, like right in front of my house. The deer was standing there. So, you guys have all been through this drill. You run for your camera, change from the standard wide lens to the zoom lens, and you hope that so I had it on automatic just to get the shot before the deer left. So, and Bill, I got to be honest, Bill Copelton did help me with the eyes. The eyes previously looked like two little glass jars. So,
Oh, yeah.
so we got some eyes in this deer.
I was wondering, Bob, if you had taken it with a speed light, and that was, that's what brought the eyes out. But you found another way to do it.
Yeah, it was, and I had to use. I had to lighten the exposure. I had to lighten the picture with elements when I looked at it, because it was so dark, because it was getting dark.
Well, the depth of field is perfect, I would say. It isolated the deer.
I sure did. Yeah.
Nice those eyes. They're freaky eyes.
Yeah, it's a little creepy.
Yeah.
That's an amazing capture that you got it.
I got it. Yeah.
Yeah,
It is so
amazing.
sharp,
Yeah.
so sharp that I can see how sharp it is.
Good.
And
Wow.
That's blown
Oh,
way,
yeah.
way up. Good job, Bob. Next is Susan.
Good.
Yeah.
And speaking of sharp,
Oh, wow.
Oh, nice.
Wow.
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
So I have to give credit to Bill for following some of the things he told me to do about my last turtle picture. You can tell I'm a bit obsessed about the turtle. So I followed some of the things Bill told us to do and tried to get this one after the last one.
Nice.
yeah, that would come out much better, Susan.
Thank you. Yeah, and I also used photo elements in addition to haze removal. They also have some kind of auto sharpen,
Yeah.
which to sharpen it too. And so I tried that. I did it a bunch of times.
well, it sure
Good.
is sharp.
I
And
like
well
the composition.
and well
with the rule of
composed and-
thirds.
Good depth of field in all those.
Yeah, I like the composition. It's kind of with the rule of thirds there with it over to the side to show the whole log or whatever that is.
Yeah, and I did crop it, so, yeah.
Yeah, I like the green background too. The shimmering reflection is really
Mhm.
nice.
Mhm.
Ew.
This is the next one. Oh. Yeah, this is, okay, so here's, as I said in the email to Mike, us photographers are a little bit strange, and So a while back, I threw out a watermelon rind and all kinds of bugs and everything were in it. It was pretty fascinating. So I threw out another watermelon rind and I kept, sometimes we just keep taking pictures of the same thing over and over again. Because we're, I don't know, obsessed a little bit. Anyway, so I kept taking pictures of this watermelon rind sitting outside to see what was happening to it. So there it is.
Yeah, it reminds me of another challenge. I think maybe the next challenge ought to be, boy, that's gross. But it is a good picture. It certainly is.
Instead of composition, this would be decomposition.
Got it. You got it. Yeah.
It is
Good
top
one.
chart.
Okay. Next,
Cool.
Moving on.
Very
next
cool.
is, whoops, Betty.
Oh,
So this is an iPhone picture. I'm still working on trying to understand all the different possibilities that I have, with me all the time when I'm out. And so this is just a plant that in Briar Chapel, walking the path. And I took it in portrait mode under what they call natural light. It was the telephoto lens. So, okay, so this is the before any post-processing. And Mike, could I see the second one?
I hope I didn't give the other one away by fumbling my.
Oh, well, it's okay.
This one, be ready for it.
wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And you know what? The whole thing, post-processing, could be done on the iPhone. And this is what I got. The reason why I picked this one is because I was so excited. You use portrait mode, but if you take portrait mode into editing, then you get a chance. The original one was taken in what they call, natural light. But this, I could switch to what was called stage light, and I was able to get the whole black background
Wow.
and just isolate part of it without, usually you have to go to Photoshop Elements and everything to try to do something like that. And so that was pretty exciting.
Yeah.
To just be able to take a simple item that you've taken with your iPhone or whatever, and if you can get it in portrait mode, which is tricky, I think, anyway, because you can't use it on everything. But, and then of course there was a little bit of sharpening and cropping and color adjustment stuff and little bit of luminance that I did, but all on the iPhone.
And
So
Betty,
that was very encouraging.
when I saw this, Betty, I thought you need to do a tips and tricks on doing, well, now I blanked out, getting rid of the background by masking. Masking was what I was looking for. But
Yeah.
this wasn't masking.
Nothing.
What was this
No.
sub menu?
Well, okay, if you take a shot in portrait mode, as
Right.
opposed, you can take regular photograph and then you can take
Right.
portrait mode. But you take it in portrait mode, and you actually, when you take the shot, you have a choice of several different light situations. But the automatic one that comes on is natural light, and that's what that other picture was. So that's what I started with. But then when I got to editing a portrait mode one on iPhone, I saw that I could actually have the choices of the other kinds of light. There was I could have turned it to just a mono black and white kind of thing. But this also had sort of it was stage light, I believe, is the option that I chose. And it just put a lot of light on the subject and blacked out the background.
Amazing.
Now,
That's
Yeah.
Betty,
Hmm?
on the rightmost part, as it comes down here, did you do anything, or is this just that the editing tried to do the best job and
You
Hey.
know, I'm curious as to what you think is actually going on here. It was like that when it came out of the iPhone. If you look back on the other one, you see that same kind of foggy. I think the difference is when I added luminance, to it, but it was in the same. There was this funny light of the glow.
Maybe it was moving.
probably
I don't know.
in the
If it was
software,
windy.
because in the software, it had to be trying to guesstimate where a mask should be. And it's probably doesn't do like, I don't know, Mike, you might have to help me here, but sometimes when you do a mask or when you do something, you have to do feathering to make sure that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I-
I mean, elements or something, you'd have to get in between there and try to get all that out.
Right. And I think,
That,
yes, what it looks like almost is that it's really trying to figure it out for you. And it's getting you pretty much where you need to go.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well,
I mean,
it's funny though, because by switching it to this stage light thing, really what that was is just like you'd imagine a stage with a light coming down in the middle, and everything else kind of goes dark and it just highlights the middle. So, it wasn't really like the same sort of thing in Elements where you try to get in between and, get the whole background black. That it didn't seem to have that as the purpose. But it seemed to, if you just had a single item like this that you wanted to highlight, and the light, you could crop it so that the light came down on the thing, the rest just went black. So it's a quick and dirty way, I guess, I'd say.
Turned
but
out
you
great.
know,
Yeah, the
That's
great
great.
photo.
So
Betty.
Betty, I have a question. Are those two separate shots, or this is because I was just looking on my phone and I saw the portrait mode and I saw the choice for stage lighting. So did you shoot this one as stage light, or you chose that as an effect in the processing?
I chose it as an effect in the processing. The
Okay.
original one was in natural light, the
Mhm.
kind of the default.
That's
I
right, you
guess.
said that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's
So it's
what's
just a matter of
cool about
cropping.
it. I thought you
Yeah.
can take almost anything, that anything that you can get in portrait mode, and then you can, really make it a little more dramatic with something like this.
Definitely.
Certainly dramatic.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah, it was really fun to do.
This next one
Yeah.
is Frank, and let's come back to that at the end, and that puts Ace up.
Guess who? Yeah.
Yeah, it was just a
Luna.
little portrait there, a still life of my friend. iPhone photo, not just cropped a little bit. That's all. So
Mhm.
Cute.
Well, the last challenge was happy, and this one's definitely happy.
yeah, it's this happy bag there, my grocery bag that he likes to
Yeah.
help move around. But anyway,
Mhm.
I'm at the doctor's office at the moment, so that's why I've not been participating much. This was natural light a couple of days ago. One of the Amanitas, Caesar Amanita mushroom, but it was highlighted so nicely with the light that I didn't do anything to it at all.
This one really
Good.
grabbed me. It's framed by the light, but yet there's a lot
Yeah.
of detail down in the shadows.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Did you process to keep the detail in the shadows, or is that
Nope.
purely,
That's just the way the phone did it for me.
wow?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Right place, right time.
Well,
Hmm.
this is
Mhm.
also ace.
And that's a close up of it's called a sulfur shelf or chicken of the woods mushroom.
Ah,
The whole mushroom is a big cluster. It's about 2 feet diameter.
Wow.
Not quite, maybe a foot and a half. And that was just a close up of one side of it.
Mm.
And,
They
and what
are
did,
delicious. So fried in butter.
what kind of mushroom?
It's a sulfur shelf,
Huh.
also called chicken of the wood.
Well, that was what I was
Because it
wondering.
tastes
That's
like
a hen
And
in the
it's
woods,
edible.
chicken in the woods. That was what I thought it was too. And I've got a couple in my yard, but they're not nearly so pink and pretty.
there is a wide range of coloration. In fact, there's even some that are a tan color, or even almost a black and very dark gray.
Yeah.
That's a slight variation. There's a slight different name, but they're all edible when they're young, especially before they start to harden up a bit. But there's some of the choice mushrooms of the wild foraging.
It's cool.
Yeah, that
Peacock,
last
did you
one, by the
start
way,
to
the
ask
Caesar-
something?
No, 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 I was just looking at it more carefully. No,
where
Yeah,
did you see that? Where
I
did
see
you
it?
see it?
It's along Pokeberry Creek.
ah,
There is a
I've found
visit.
3 different clusters this year.
There is a
Dear
visitor
Yeah.
on the
there
bottom.
too.
Yeah, that's I have to identify that. It's there's a number of them flying around this mushroom for some reason. That was one of them I was trying to capture too, for identification.
good.
The color in the background is lovely.
And the leaves intertwining in there or interspersed.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's beautiful right there.
Thank you.
Wow.
Okay, Lynn.
Mm.
Hmm.
Very pretty.
Lynn, are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah.
I cropped it, obviously. I tried to do it with my tripod and I just couldn't get it positioned right. So I just did it handheld.
It's a good shot. I mean, it wouldn't have been anything like this had you been able to see the background more clearly. Just you look at
No.
some of these smallest of flowers, and I mean, this is blown way up.
Right.
Look at the one over here on the right.
It's still pretty much in focus.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
about
The
5.
depth of field is remarkable to get that close and get that clarity. Hmm.
Nice picture.
Yes.
Thank you.
This was Lynn too.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Oh, I like that.
Makes you happy.
I like the angle of the flowers too in it. I like the way.
Yes,
Mhm.
angle really makes it.
Yes.
The lighting was the trick on this one. I'm betting this was taken midday.
Well, it was later in the afternoon, actually. It was about 5 o'clock, maybe.
Wow. Well, I ask about the sun because they're in the very far background. It's awfully white.
Well, there's a wall back there.
Oh, okay.
There's a white wall back there. That's what you're seeing.
And it's light, but it's not just a white wall, but it's a white wall bouncing any light that was around onto the flowers.
Yeah, reflecting.
True. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
There's one flower that's in the farthest left at the bottom. I mean, you can I mean, look at the detail in those stems. You
Hmm.
can even see the little
Mhm.
hairy spots, whatever those are called.
Yeah,
Don't touch those; they'll get you.
this was cropped. This was cropped too.
Yeah. What,
All
what
right.
kind of camera did you use?
I have a Sony mirrorless camera. So my regular lens is that southeastern camera. I'm thinking about trading it in. So I used my big 70 to 200 zoom set on 70, but I guess it worked okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a nice lens. It's one of their G Master lenses.
And I should have. I'm probably remiss for not mentioning Southeastern as a source to have things printed. They do them in
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
That's another option. Okay, Chuck.
Yeah, I just never made it out with my big camera this month to do any shots. I was even camping in the mountains and had it with me, and just I was out on my bike, and now I see I wished I cropped that a little differently or taken that tree on the left out, because that's kind of a distraction. But I really like I like taking pictures of fungus too. I find it interesting, just and this is just an iPhone picture. I just messed with it a little bit in terms of lighting, and I didn't saturate it really or anything like that. Just cropping, and as I say, it's like an okay picture. But I think I'm gonna try to get myself out and take pictures more. I'm on my bike an awful lot, and I'm trying to figure out how to take something other than my iPhone with me. And I have an old Coolpix camera, and so I just reordered a battery charger and some new batteries for that thing, and it's got a little more flexibility, it seems like, than the iPhone. So I'm going to see if I can't capture some more things when I'm on my bike, because we're in no way could I have my big camera, or I wouldn't want to be carrying my big camera with me. So
Right.
Well, if a close up of just the fungi might have been interesting too.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
But I think when I was looking at that in cropping, and yeah, it blows it out. It's just not
Yeah.
good enough, not a big enough image to do it.
I like also that it captures what's around here. I mean, this is something that we see sometimes, as mushrooms on trees, and it's really interesting.
Yeah, and that was an interesting place. That's a white pine, and it's off of a dirt road. I don't know if any of you all are familiar with Blowing Rock, but there's a famous road that goes from Valley Cruces up to Blowing Rock, and it's called Shoals Mill. And
Yes.
yeah, and then like adjacent to Shoals Mill is Old Turnpike, and this road is this was along Old Turnpike, which is a really nice quality gravel road or dirt road. They're just great to ride bikes on because there's no traffic.
Mhm.
Chuck, have you seen Ed Lalo's photos?
I have
He,
seen some of his, yeah, like on Nextdoor or something. Here's
Right.
another one. This is a different dirt road, and this time I got the road in place. And this is, it's kind of nature, and I just thought it was also like it's kind of entropy in nature, where if you don't keep up with, if the human influence isn't around, it goes back to its natural state pretty quickly. So this is an interesting place on the side of a mountain, a ridge that probably not, she was pretty close to, well, there's a place called Grag, Grag, little crossroads town. There's like maybe 6 houses or something there. And it's not far from Grandfather Mountain, like south down into the valley of Grandfather Mountain. But it's just a beautiful day, and I tried to frame it with that with the tree, with the foliage over top, and just that hard blue sky. And I didn't do anything to this except crop it. I just figured
Mm.
You know, the contrast, it's just like, you know, the middle of the day, like, it's so contrasty, but you know, that's just what I was looking at.
Yeah.
When was the
Well,
last
3D
time you saw a
antenna.
TV antenna?
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. Hmm.
I'm gonna go back to Frank's if I can find it. That's Frank's.
Mhm.
It's pretty.
Yep, that's Frank's.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a good example of using some vignetting.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really
Because often
brings
people think
attention.
of vignetting just as the dark edges, but if you go the opposite side with the slider, you can lighten it up.
Mhm.
And the one thing with some
not
of
know
Frank's images that he does is that he rides his bike a lot. And he actually has like a saddlebag in the back where he keeps his camera. So a lot of times he gets up maybe 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:30, rides around Farrington.
Hmm.
And when he comes across the foggy days, or you know, the great light or something like that, he tends to always have his Canon 80D with him.
Yeah, I see so many beautiful things when I'm riding, either early in the morning or sometimes later on. And it's, yeah, I'm going to investigate some lighter cameras that give me more flexibility than my phone would.
Well, in terms
I
of
think you're on a good. I was going to say, I think you're on a good spot there with the cool pics, because you can get some decent pictures with some good zoom ability
Mhm.
with that, and it's inexpensive and portable.
Yeah, this thing is tiny, smaller than my phone.
Wow.
well, good shot, Frank, if you're listening later.
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 And he's up in
Oh.
Connecticut.
Now I can't find the there we go.
Hmm, that's a great screensaver.
There we go.
Oh, Mike,
Let's see,
Mike?
Mike, I had 2 shots,
Mike?
Mike. What happened to them?
yeah, what happened to my 3 photos?
Who just said the last part?
I did,
Oh.
Kikab. I sent you 3 photos, 2 nature and emotion.
The only
And
one
I sent 2.
well, the only one I got from Keycob, or the only one that let me go back to it.
Well, you replied to me saying you got them.
Yeah, well, yours were really early. Susan, Bob. Well, actually, I received your photo, Key Cobb, and the only one I got was of the shoe repair guy.
Well, I don't understand because you replied saying you received them.
Well, I'm looking at the note I sent back, and it says, "I received your photo," singular. And when I'm looking at the photo of the cobbler, there's only one attachment. Send the other one in. Oh, and here's Helen. Let me get these downloaded. I think, Helen, what I did is what I sometimes do, and that is I was writing you a note and I got distracted. So, oh shoot. Challenge photos. Um,
Yeah, no, you're right. You only responded to the still life one, which was
yeah.
sent to everybody.
So what am I doing here? Trying to get Helen's up and I can't find them. There they are. Well, I'm sorry. I don't know what's happened to the, oh, I know what's happened to it. I'm trying to find it in a folder, but it's in its own folder. Which I now can't find. There it is.
Um,
Okay. Let me go back to share screen. All right, Helen, I finally got them.
Yeah, I thought this was certainly still life. The amazing thing is I went back and looked at how I shot that. At f/22,
wow.
10 to the second, ISO at 400. I don't know what in the world I thought I was doing, but anyway, I did very little to it other than crop it, and there were some pretty bad stains on her dress that I took off, but other than that, and then I just marveled at how I got a picture at f/22 late in the afternoon. But anyway,
Where is this?
at the botanical garden.
In Chapel Hill?
No, the ruined one that well, not ruined, but in process one that Leslie found that's private.
Oh, right.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
over off of White Cross.
Mhm.
That's beautiful, though.
Thank
Is
you.
this one from the same place, Helen?
Yes.
Is that where the gargoyle-like statues are at the roadside?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's what's back in there.
Yes.
Interesting.
Mhm. It is private and you have to have permission to get in, but I think if you contact them, they will let you in. But
Uh-huh.
you know, again, that one was shot at f/22. 25th of a second, ISO 400. I've cropped and enlarged that one a lot, and I was at 163 millimeters anyway. So I played with that one a lot.
Yeah.
But that's motion and nature and still life all at once.
Yes. And irises to boot.
Mhm.
Key Cobb sent me the other one. I'm trying to open it, but I got the notice on my phone, but not on my computer. So hang on just a second and see if it's has arrived yet. There it is.
Or I could try sharing my screen.
Now where'd it go? Here it is. You see that one?
Nope.
No,
You don't see a mountain scene?
Still see
No.
Helen's.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're still on Helen's.
Let me try again. Shoot.
While Mike's doing that, Susan,
What if I share a screen?
based on what I sent you in that email, when you were taking other images, did you find that they were all kind of getting a little better, or?
Yeah, the one thing I had to do was I realized on my camera that I had to do a maximum of 800 ISO. Because I didn't quite understand that because it was on auto ISO, and if I just left it, it would go up to 6400.
Mhm.
So is that what you wanted is to do the maximum
Yeah, because what you
ISO so that when it does the auto, it'll only go up that high.
because what you were doing originally was you had your F22, which was forcing your ISO up real high. So
Okay,
by having a lower f-stop, it allowed the ISO to go down.
right. But did I also need to change the maximum ISO so it wouldn't go up that high? Because I did that. I don't know if that,
And we'll talk about that another day.
okay, yeah, all right.
Key Cobb did what I think did what I was trying to do and couldn't get to. Are you seeing Key Cobb's picture at this point?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah. And this one's terrific.
spectacular.
yes.
There's so
Beautiful.
much detail in the dark areas, even in the reflection of the dark areas.
Yeah, I was surprised it came out that well.
Very nice. This is one to frame. Not that any of your others are not, but this one is terrific.
That's not Jordan Lake, is it? Oh,
What?
it's not Jordan Lake.
No.
It's not Farrington either. Yeah.
Jordan
No,
Lake in the winter.
Oh, look at that.
Oh,
Mm. Really nice.
oh.
Wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
And where was that taken?
this is in Botswana,
Oh,
and those are white-throated bee eaters.
They are.
And I happen to
bee
have caught them just as they both returned to that branch with their own little insect.
eaters.
And was the previous one also Botswana? Kika?
Now, the previous one was in Wrangell St. Elias in Alaska National Park.
On my bucket list.
Yeah. All right. And then the other one was Motion. Last one.
Wow. How tall was that wave, Keep Calm?
Oh, 2 or 3 inches. No, it's
Well, I wondered if it had been zoomed in on.
I did zoom in, but I was standing across the river from it. So it was probably about 4 or 5 feet.
Has anybody seen those photos of the guy that, and maybe more than one guy, that does pictures inside the curl of waves while surfing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
Incredible.
Absolutely amazing.
Can you send his name to us? I've never seen him. Or let Helen know?
Say again, Susan?
Oh, just send the name of that person to Helen so she can let the rest of us know who this
Okay.
person, you know.
The surf guy? I'll try to find it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Well, I proved that I can mess up a meeting even on Zoom, but sorry that I missed the others from you, Key Cobb and Helen's. But anyway,
No
But you
problem.
go ahead, and cover and show them, Mike. Hey, you know,
Yeah. Oh, well, thanks for being
it's like
positive.
last week, just like 2 weeks ago's meeting. You figured it out,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, Helen had a lot
Ace
to,
is
well,
giving
Bill
a
and
tour
Helen
of
had a lot to
something.
do with that. They saw the pathway through that I did not see until it was mentioned by them. So, and anyway, so next week or next 2 weeks is back at the church, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Yep.
And
Okay.
what's the challenge? Do you know?
Well,
red, white, and blue.
okay. Yeah. Let's see
Okay.
if you can find some.
Mhm.
All right, guys.
Mhm.
Have a good
Thank
rest of your
you.
week.
All right,
Thank
thank
you,
you.
thank you.
See you in
Thanks.
2 weeks,
Bye.
not before. Bye.